All right, so this is the K50 Keurig. I ended up buying one of these because the coffee machine maker that I had, the old Keurig, didn't drip water anymore, and it was really slow. So I got in here and I started to look and see what I could do to make the, I checked a couple of YouTube videos and they said how to clean the needle inside and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna go through on how to drain the actual pump itself and how I found the best way to drain the pump. I saw a couple of videos that said do this and do that, and they didn't seem to work for me, but I'm going to show you the way I did it, and it seems to work fine. It got all the water out. So just a few things that you don't know. You may know already. To clean the cartridge, this piece right here comes out. You just got to play with it a little bit and it'll pop right out. And then you got to clean this part inside. There's really not a lot inside, but you clean this part. And then obviously what you want to do is you want to take off the cover, and you want to drain all the water out of it. And once you got the water drained out of it, then like most videos say, there's two screws on the bottom right here that you're going to go ahead and get out. And I'm just going to go ahead and take out those two screws there. They're kind of hard to get out if you don't have like any needle nose. So I'm going to pull these needle nose, these screws out of there like that. And I'm going to get the next one out after I unscrew it. Get it out a little bit more. And once you get that screw out, I'm just going to put these to the side. And I'm going to go ahead and this piece right here will pop off and come right out. And then what you have is you have this assembly here. Now, this is the water pump that's right up in here, and this is what holds the reservoir. That's where your water is. And what I found was the best way to do it. Some people will tell you to cut this tie wrap here. I didn't have to cut it. What I just did was just kind of work the tie wrap. It's not that tight, but if you push this cable off, it'll come right off, and then you can reuse the tie wrap. But unless you have more tie wraps, then you can just put it back on there. But I'm just going to leave that one off for now. And then the next thing I did was, we have this assembly here, the pump to the outlet of the or the inlet to the pump itself. And if you pull this up, there's this little sleeve right here, this plastic one, and if you just kind of lift up on that sleeve there, this piece here is just like a circle, and then that lets you get down here and be able to pull that rubber hose right off of there like that. Okay, now kind of watch this little ring, because it could come back off and fall back up inside. So I'm just going to set that to the side. This is what the ring looks like right here. It's just a plastic sleeve. And then what I did was, once I had these two hoses off, and you can see up in here, I don't know what this crud is in here, but that's kind of what developed. And I've been using like filtered water from my fridge, but this was kind of like floating around in there, and I don't know what that is. Maybe that's hard water stain, or I don't know what it is. But anyway, what I was able to do once I got these two hoses off right here was basically flip the unit upside down like this, and one of these will allow air to go in while the water comes out, and all it did was just drain down this plastic right here, and I just flipped it upside until I got all of the water out of it like that. And once I got a little bit, most of it out of it, then the other thing that I get was, and you can kind of look, it's hard to see in here, but if you look back in the sleeve, and I'm kind of working outside in the sunlight, and you can see the plenum back there on the pump, and you can see where the water just sits back in there, and you can see how much water you actually have left in there. And you probably won't get it all out, but what I did was, once I got the majority of the water out, again by flipping it upside down and having the water fill from here and come out, and the air going in here, tilting it, kind of like a Coca-Cola can. When you pour water, you need kind of have the air going in to push the water out. And once you get the majority of the water out, then you get the majority out. So then the next thing I did was, to completely get the rest of it out, was I had to take this assembly here, and yeah, I did have to take a tie wrap and cut these two off here, these two tie wraps. I have additional tie wraps, so I'm not too worried about that. If you don't put them on, I don't think it's going to be such a big deal, just because this is a pretty hard seal on here. There's not enough pressure on that pump to get it to leak. It's not going to leak, but use a tie wrap nonetheless. So all I did was take this off here, and once I took this hose off here, I was able to get my air compressor and take a little bit of my air, put it up in here, and then I covered up one of these holes right here on the pump that from the hoses that I took off. I just kind of went like this, and I put some air up in here as I tilted it, and as I blew air in it, the air was coming out of here and the rest of the water came out. And you can see now that I've done that, it's pretty much emptied out. Again, once I did that, then I was able to drain it. Now I'm not sure if I'm going to just keep this and save it just in case my new machine goes bad, or whether I want to just go ahead and take it to the next level and see about cleaning that pump out. But I don't know, that's just hard water there, hard water stain, calcium buildup or whatever they put in the water, fluoride. And that's pretty much it. So once you're done with that, then what I would do is just go ahead and take your connection back, plug your wires back in there, put your zip ties back on here, and here, put your zip ties back on there like that. Obviously I'm going to use new zip ties. I'm just showing you this for demonstration purposes. And then what I did was I came back over here to this guy, and this is the guy that also had a zip tie on it, and I'm just going to put him back on here. You can leave probably these hoses off just for a couple of days and let the air, just let it dry out by itself. But if I can just reassemble it back, all you have to do is get that going there and just kind of work the zip tie back on top to cover it, and that makes a pretty good tight seal there, right there like that on top. And once you get that back on there, then the next step is going to be obviously to put your sleeve back on. And once you put your sleeve back on here, then you can go ahead and then reconnect the hose to the spigot, and then push the sleeve down, which is going to hold it. And you can use a tool or you can use your fingers. I use my fingers just because it's a lot of plastic, and that makes a pretty good seal there. And once you have that, then this little cover here just slides up and slides down to hold the curve of the hose so it doesn't pinch. And that's pretty much it. And then you can see pretty much again that it's drained out. So that's the best way that I did it, and it seems to work. Again, the original problem that I had was that the needle wasn't draining out. What you can do is you can take off these two screws here, and this whole piece here, the plastic will pop off and allow you access to the actual needle itself. It also has this rubber gasket here that comes off, and once you take off these two screws, and then here this hose, and again you can see it's got one of those plastic sleeves on it right here. And for this one, you probably need some kind of a tool just to get that sleeve up. And once you get that sleeve up like that, then you're able to get this the rubber hose right out of it. But you probably want to loosen these two screws here so that it releases the pin on the bottom. I'll show you what that looks like right now. It doesn't take too long just to go ahead and take these two screws out here. That was the best way that I found to drain the water out of this Keurig. And this is the Keurig K50. It's not the fancy one or whatever, but you can pretty much use the same thing if you have it for the other ones. You can see here now how this piece is loose here, and once you get that sleeve pulled up on the top, this hose will pop right off, and then you can clean up this needle, because when this is sitting up in here and it punctures, this is the thing that actually punctures the cartridge of the coffee, and the coffee tends to clog up in here, and then you're going to get a slow drip. So that's pretty much all that is. And then once you get it taken apart, and you can check the hose, just kind of it's easier to get these screws back in here first and then make the hose connection. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that, put that one back in there now, reassemble it with these screws. And you want to make sure that you use the right size screwdriver for this. I'm using a number 2 Phillips right here, just because it seems to grab the threads of those screws a little better than some of the smaller handled screwdrivers, you know. And just get them down there where they're nice and tight. And then once you have that, then you can see the spigots right here. Just go ahead and reconnect the hose to it, and then slide that sleeve down here on top of it. You may have an older model, I don't know, that may have zip ties or something like that, but and then it's back together again. You know, you shouldn't have any other problems. So hopefully this helps you out. This is the first YouTube video that I've done, and I figured since the machine was already broken, might as well just tinker with it and see what's going on with it. But that's pretty much it.